Okay. Welcome everybody to Community Resources, March 17th, and call this meeting to order. And Laura, could you call the roll, please?
Sure. Councillor Clemmer,
Yes.
Councillor Perry,
Here.
Councillor Dobbs,
Here.
and Councillor Rothenberg. Don't think she's
I didn't
joined.
see her.
No. Okay. Absent on roll.
Okay. So we have a quorum.
To counselors.
You say that Dr. Long Commission and Meg Robbins, you know her?
You did it. So this meeting is going to be audio and video recorded.
Councillor Rothenberg just joined.
Oh, okay. Next is public comment. So if you're here to talk about anything but POP, please hold your comments till after the presentation. If you have other comments, you could speak now, and please hold your comments till 2 minutes. So would anybody like to speak it? Oh, and I'll alternate between in person and on Zoom. So anybody?
Speaking, we're here to speak about POP. Wait till after the presentation.
Yeah. So it'll be public comment about anything but POP, then the POP presentation, and then POP comments. So, okay. Okay. You can go ahead. Please say your name and where you live.
Sure,
Jimmy, before you start, Laura, can I just ask that you note my attendance? I didn't hear it.
Yes, I did when you entered, joined the meeting. Thanks.
Perfect. Thank you.
Good evening, James Winston, Ward 2. So it's not directly on POP, but it is about the proposed redesign though. We have a pause in this project till the earliest 2026, which provides an ideal opportunity to implement the trial run. And the trial run should be for at least 6 months, and it must be during the winter months when we can see if the city can handle removing the snow from the middle of Main Street. If Main Street looks to be narrowed. We kind of had a trial run in August of 2020, but until that project was different in different fundamental ways than this one, but still involves, Main Street. And we know other communities around us have done trial runs. Chicopee Mass did a trial run in 2021 with bike lanes on Main Street. It didn't go well. The officials actually said we got more complaints about that than anything else, and we took that down. Stanton had a trial run of sorts last summer with bike lanes. Having a trial run for such a huge, extensive project that we're told is a once in a lifetime opportunity is really a standard procedure. If there are issues that can be discovered before the changes are permanent, why would we not do that? If there are defects in the design, why wouldn't we want to know in the trial run? Has the city inquired about funding for a trial run with the state? Running full steam ahead without a trial run may be not only reckless and irresponsible, but doing a huge disservice to the entire city. So regardless about the plans for POP, I would submit to the city that we should have a trial run and work out any potential issues. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Next on Zoom, we have Ann Teschner. Your
Yes.
name and where you live, please.
Thank you. I'm Ann Teschner. I'm in Ward 5, and I want to really thank you for carving out time for public comments. It has been difficult to understand how the public can weigh in on Picture Main Street, and I'm grateful for this opportunity. So I have real concerns about the city moving forward with this project as it is currently configured. It seems strange and bloated and disruptive and fails to address any real safety concerns as it claims. But as we move forward, I would ask that the city be consistent and transparent in the details. At times, the city has said the project will cost $21 million, at other times $29 million. It seems that the state will be largely responsible for covering costs, but it remains unclear how much the city will be required to raise for the project. Earlier this year, the mayor stated the project will move forward as originally planned. and now is saying the project will be paused for a year, which, by the way, I think is a great idea. At times, it is described as a 3 to 5 year project, yet the most recent timetable posted on the website has it running as a 2 to 3 year project. I ask the city to be more transparent and clear in its communications with the public, and that it finds ways to actively engage with residents going forward. A static FAQ website is not active engagement. This lack of accountability and transparency, frankly, is disturbing. And two, I would ask that during this pause, the city take the opportunity to investigate other cities in Massachusetts who have either launched or considered similar bike path plans. Both Boston and Pittsfield have reported being unhappy with their bike path renovations and regretted having implemented them. The city of Chicopee did a trial run of the model and abandoned it, seeing that it would be disruptive and ineffective. Our own state secretary of transportation has characterized the protected bike path model as being, quote, wild and horrible, and urges communities to revisit the model. We should investigate these communities' experiences and amend Northampton's Picture Main Street accordingly. We can and must do better.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, there's no microphone on the podium. I could not hear the first speaker's public comment.
Oh, goodness. Let's see.
Thanks, Garrick. Counselor.
You want me to say it again, or did he
No, we're good.
have a recording of?
Yeah, yeah. Anybody else in the room? So Claudia, we're just doing stuff that's not about pop right now, or Picture Main Street too. If you could hold it till the end, if that's what you want to talk about.
Sure. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Is that all right?
Fine, right?
All right. My name is Bob McGovern, and I've had a restaurant in the city for 48 years. So if we look around the council, the average person was 5 or 6 when I opened. Mary Ann, sorry. I have a problem with a few things. Snow removal on Main Street. Okay, we've been working on it for 48 years. Still hasn't been resolved. Very dangerous. Bicycle lanes, we have great bike trails. This is called Northampton. It's not called Wayne's World. And it's not being run by Wayne Fiden. And he's giving direction to Carolyn. This is wrong. This should not happen. The city has been good to me for 48 years, and I'd like to think I've been good to the city. The snow removal, delivery trucks, losing 60 parking places, that's absurd. The city has been totally disrespectful to the business community where this comes in. It hasn't been a friendly city to business for a long time. And this project going forward, bad idea. And you listen to Monica Tibbetts Nutt in the Department of Transportation, bicycle lanes dangerous, not a good idea. That's all I got to say, but I'll probably say more on Thursday. Thank you for your time.
Okay, thank you. Fred Zimnock on Zoom. Fred, could you hear me?
Well, I thought they were able to unmute themselves, but I'm going to ask to unmute. Are you doing it at the same time?
Hi, Fred. Is there anybody else in the room that wants to talk about something other than pop? Claudia? Fred, we'll come back to you.
Thanks. Claudia Lefko, 40 Valley Street. Can you hear me, Cleverly?
Yeah, the microphone's on now.
Okay, very good.
Thank you. Claudia.
You're welcome. I'm here. I walked here from 40 Valley Street in Montview neighborhood on the. Okay. Okay, on the treacherous sidewalks that are of course more treacherous now with this weather, but nonetheless, I walked here. I'm here to talk about community involvement in general. We have our third walking committee in the neighborhood. It's called Streets and Sidewalks. We're about 8 or 9 people. I've lived on the corner of Montview Avenue and Valley Street for 45 years. And over those years, we have tried without success to improve the walkability in our neighborhood. We've had 3 different committees and none of them have gone anywhere. And now on this last iteration, it wasn't a committee thing that we did, but for the last 2 years, I've been trying to engage with the planning department or whomever about collaborating with people in the neighborhood, because we have been working on our own behalf, but we've been thwarted by the city. So twice we have tried to apply for various walkability and grants that would look at accessibility in the neighborhood. And twice the city has refused to sign off on neighborhood initiatives. So if you ask me, what's missing about Main Street is people. Like, so you're going to have POP doing, I don't know what they're going to do, because actually you're going to need people to help make Main Street revitalized, not only Main Street, but tell me when I'm over, because Ben is telling us that we don't have a clock back here. So, but this is the point. When I sat on Main Street in the fall, the passersby had no complaints about walking on Main Street. But what people complained about is getting to Main Street. So for my money, there's no use saying we're going to spend all this money on Main Street when people won't be able to walk there. And finally, I would just want to say one of my suggestions, because I had an op-ed in the paper about this, was to include Bob McGovern, who you've just heard speaking. And I would highly recommend that you contact the man and have him give you his input in a longer forum. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Claudia. Ben? Oh. Not showing up here.
Hi, everybody. So I'm Benjamin Spencer. I live in Northampton. I've been paying close attention to the Picture Main Street project for a number of years now, participated in some of the planning sessions that happened in the early 2020, 2021. There was lots of opportunities for everybody in the city, business owners, citizens to become involved. Multiple meetings then, meetings within the different bodies of city government, bicycle and pedestrian, traffic. Thank you. Park. And I've been very impressed with the level of involvement that people have been able to have with this project. 2 years ago or so, when the city council was looking at the resolution in support of Picture Main Street, I went to those meetings and spoke in support of the project. There were opportunities for people to weigh in then. I think that why I'm compelled to speak right now is because of what I think are still some misconceptions about the project. And I think that it's important for people to realize this project is about safety for everybody, first and foremost. It's not about bike lanes. It's not about, eliminating parking spaces. It's about making it safer for everybody. And I know that's not the reason why we're here tonight, but because of the comments that I've heard, I feel like it's important to mention this. The road is going to become much safer for pedestrians to cross. The road is going to narrow. The crosswalks will be shorter. The sidewalks will be wider. More people are going to be spending time in downtown Northampton because it will be a more pleasant place to be. They will be going to businesses. Longtime businesses are going to see an increased amount of customers when this project comes to fruition. It's been a long time in the making. It's exciting that it's happening. I'm looking forward to tonight's meeting.
Thank you, Ben. Okay, I don't see any. Okay, hi, Lily. Could you, hi, could you unmute yourself and say your name and where you're from?
Hi, I'm Lily Gave. I'm from Ward 6. I live on Route 66. Here with my gang. Save Main Street, Save Paradise. It's not that we're against the project. but we have concerns about safety and climate mitigation. And I'll echo Claudia, getting to Main Street, I think warrants more attention. I want to follow and support Jim in urging the trial run. We have an opportunity now that we have a breather. I really appreciate that was taken into consideration and the project postponed. We could designate money and a specific committee that's assigned to generate a realistic time frame and very specific and measurable criteria, and given the authority to evaluate and make public the outcome. It could be minimally designed but accurately intrusive, and it might even save us money. And I think I have a new name and motto for Save Main Street, which is measure twice, dig once. Thank you.
Yeah, that's time. Thank you, Lily. So, hi.
One more.
Hi.
Good evening, everybody. George Cohout, 234 State Street, down by Stop and Shop. I often walk into town, as does my wife and many of my neighbors. Tonight I rode my bike. It was a great ride, didn't have any problems getting here. But appreciate that somewhere down the road, there will be better infrastructure for those of us who do use our bicycles, and even those of us who are pedestrians. And I'm speaking up here because I just want to make sure the public record reflects that there are other people in the room and in the city who are huge supporters of Picture Main Street. I represent a bunch of people who have worked with the city and other residents on a lot of discussion since 2010 about this concept. And it's moving forward, and most of us are just really thrilled that it is moving forward. There's a little hiccup around funding. I get that, a little delay, but it shouldn't delay the project beyond what we're expected. Yeah, there are going to be a lot of changes on Main Street, but I think Northampton's a strong city and a vibrant city, and they'll be able to adapt to it. The DPW will be able to adapt to it. The visitors will, the businesses will. It's like you here on the board and many of us in the city, it's not about what we see today. It's what we want to see 5 years from now, 10 years from now, 15 years from now. So thanks for letting me speak and representing the other part of the equation here.
Thanks, George. Martha?
Hi, good evening. Martha Ebner, Ward 2. I wasn't planning on speaking, but I want to raise my hand and just share how excited I am about this project and how it will make the streets safer, because right now it's pretty unsafe for pedestrians, bicyclists, and anyone else who wants to come to town. So I am really excited. So thank you.
Thank you. So since there's doesn't seem to be any more, Alex, you can unmute yourself, please, Alex. And state your name and where you're from.
Hi, Alex Bowman, Ward 3. I also am really excited about this project, and I understand it's been a lot of compromises already. Being an advocate for pedestrians and cyclists, I am really excited about the safety enhancements that are going to be part of this project. And being a cyclist and pedestrian, I am also, disappointed that they didn't go further. I think this project could have gone a lot further to improve even better accessibility for pedestrians and bicyclists. And we gave up a lot of that. So I think people should be aware that this has been a long process. It has been in design for quite a while, and I am really excited about the changes that are going to be made. Thank you.
Thanks, Alex. Okay. Now Meg. Okay. Meg,
Hi,
if you can unmute yourself.
hi, Debbie. I just want to ask, so it sounds like all the comments actually have related to Picture Main Street, and I'm not sure how that's working. Did you want people to wait until after the presentation?
Well,
Because
yeah, I thought if they had questions about or comments about POP, it might be help to hear the presentation first, but people seem to want to talk about Picture Main Street. So that's not what the presentation's about, but if you want to say something, go ahead.
well, hang on, I can't even get my audio to go. I'm gonna then, thanks. Just quickly jump on that bandwagon, and it will relate to POP, I guess, when it comes up. So that's helpful too, and they might have some input on it. I'm really concerned about the impact of the loss of 3 to 5 years of revenue, business revenue in the city. Essentially, what that's impact is going to be on funding essential services like schools. We have heard that there is potential for some pushback by the Trump administration on funding for this project. Ultimately, and maybe in part, currently the state shows that the project is estimated at a total of $29 million. Councillor Moulton, I think you might be incorrect on that and might want to refigure that. That is according to Mass DOT, with the city still insisting that our local costs will be limited to the original $3 million for water and sewer pipes estimated. I believe that estimate was from 2018. So is it correct that the state will make increases to a specific dollar amount? But if the project that, in terms of overage, if the project goes over, up to what point does the state cover that? Up to what point does the federal government give us more money? This is grant money that has been in the pipeline for a long time. Will that $3 million still be the amount that we will be liable for? And will the city be liable for any overages of any other kind? And how has that been projected in terms of the capital improvement plan? Because I didn't see it in the 25 to 29 projections that were put in there. And those are questions that a lot of people are concerned about. Will we be able to attend essential services in the city during these years of construction? And the estimate, we did hear a speaker say that it wasn't going to impact businesses. There are experts who say it will, in fact, cause an estimated 25% loss and reduction, both in revenue and in businesses that will simply go out of business over the first year, which will
Meg,
be.
that's time. If you could just finish your sentence, please.
Well, thank you. Thanks a lot. Just to say there may not be any long-time businesses at the end. So thanks.
Thanks, Meg. So anybody else?
Did we lose Brett?
A long time ago, he seemed to have disappeared. He'll have opportunity to speak after if he shows up again. So, okay. So we have minutes from May 20th, 24, June 17th, 24, and July 15th, 2024. So could we have a motion to approve the minutes?
I'll move to approve.
Anybody second it?
I'll second that.
Thank you. So Jeremy, second. Okay, so the minutes have been approved.
Oh,
yeah, roll call.
Councillor Clemmer,
Yes.
Councillor Perry,
Yes.
Councillor Dobbs,
Yes.
and Councillor Rothenberg.
Yes.
Are there any updates or announcements from committee members? Okay, seeing none, we'll move on. Oh, Quaverly, Councillor Rothenberg?
Yes, thank you. So I want to hold space for the public comment that we just heard. I hear here there's a very sort of split representation on the project. I really truly feel that as a representative, it is extremely important for us to be in touch with our communities. and to understand what they want, regardless of whether they can make it to our public comment. And it is not enough for there to be a strong lobbying from one side or the other or both. It requires us to know what are the primary concerns of our constituents. In Ward 3, we are very concerned about our economy. We are very concerned about this project's effect on our economy and our local businesses. And I don't think yet that there is widespread concern about the bicycle safety. I have concerns about that. But my constituents, when they speak about this city and they want to speak to their representative, almost across the board, this matter is hugely concerning to them. And I really call upon my fellow councilors to commit themselves to being that representative of the public. We have a great deal of work to do here. We have many options. If we want a courtyard, do we want a courtyard on Strong Avenue and Pearl Street? But to simply charge forward on something that our community at large has concerns about, regardless of whether there are strong lobbyists in favor, regardless of whether some people are very interested in it and intrigued. You know, what is the service that we are providing? What is the function that we serve? And so I formally retracted my support of this project on behalf of Ward 3. I know there is a standing resolution, but I've made a record that I cannot. So I thank you all, and I hope that there will be many community discussions about what kind of project would make sense and what kind of vision the community would buy into. But this, at this time, in this way, this is not the one.
Okay, thank you, Counselor. So we have some people here to do a presentation about POP. Director Mish is here, and if people want to just come up and we have people, Andrea's on Zoom, Andrea Munson, so if you just want to introduce yourselves and go for it. So we can start with Director Mish.
Andrea, do you want to start?
You guys can start.
Okay. So I'm a member of the POP group. My name is Randy Kwiatkowski. I live in Ward 6 on Emerson Way. I'm a member of the Downtown Northampton Association Board and the president of the Parlor Room Collective Board. I've been involved with POP for probably 3 months now.
Yeah, I think, was Andrea gonna do sort of an overview of POP or? That was the plan. Okay, so is she not,
I don't see
Hi,
her.
Andrea, she's there in the DNA.
I'm here.
Hi. Oh, there she goes. Okay.
I apologize. I'm sick with the flu.
Oh, no.
Bear with me. I've only been a member of POP for about 6 months. I joined as a volunteer. I was also the TDI fellow for Chicopee when the bike lane fiasco happened, and it was not a trial run for a bike loop. It was an attempt to help with the pandemic as it was in 2020, but we can get into that later. POP exists as a group of community stakeholders, residents, organizations, all because we care about Main Street, about the project, and about everything the project hopes to address. I personally have walked through a redevelopment project in New Bedford, which was highly successful. Before the pandemic, there was only one business lost in the New Bedford redevelopment. So POP has been meeting for a year, but has really started to aggressively organize itself in the last few months. There are several committees within POP that address different parts of the Main Street project. So you have marketing, you have construction mitigation, you have business assistance, and you have general local community marketing. So there's larger marketing to help and assist with the businesses, and then there's local marketing. We are currently working with a consultant, Emily Ennis. So she's she has her own consultancy agency. She's been in business for various years and has been working in land issues for about 14 years. And we as POP have already organized ourselves and have done a lot of research on various projects across the Commonwealth and have organized different materials for Emily to help us with. So in those various committees that POP has, she is going behind the scenes and supplementing all the information that we have and advising us on how to adapt the work that we are doing, and also how to be better at the different obstacles that we're trying to mitigate. We are launching a survey, and I'm sorry, my dogs are really loud. We are launching a survey for the business community to give their full feedback on how they feel on various issues with the Main Street redevelopment project. Once we collect that survey, we're going to also host focus groups with the business community so that they can help us co-create and co-plan the strategy for Main Street redevelopment. One of the biggest successes about the New Bedford redevelopment was that the business community was invited to co-create the process. And so we're trying to replicate what New Bedford did through POP so that businesses have direct input on how the project flows. What else can I say here, Randy?
I mean, we could have each one of the teams
Yep.
give a brief update if that's okay.
Yep. Oh, and we're also having a workshop with Emily Ennis and the business community to just further cement all of the sorry, I'm not in the best frame of mind. Trying to educate all of the business owners on how to survive and thrive through this project.
You don't sound good up there. So I'll jump in. I'm going to touch on two of the teams that were formed. As Andrea mentioned, and I would describe, POP, we're not Picture Main Street. We are a group of people that came together to really coordinate. And so it includes the DNA, it includes the chamber, the city participates, Valley CDC is involved and others are involved, but it really is a coordinating body. It's not going to really take on responsibilities. It's trying to figure out who can do what through the existing organizations. So I'll talk about two of the teams. And Jim Nash is helping convene the group and providing overall support and coordination. And unfortunately, he's not able to speak to this issue because of a conflict of interest, having been a city councilor recently. So the first one is, so we have a team that's focused on funding, really finding resources that can support the organizations and the businesses as we go through construction. I think there's a lot of concern, at least among POP, that we want to provide the best support possible for the businesses so that they not only survive but come out very, very strong at the end of this. Our goal is that we come out of construction with this beautiful new downtown with every storefront filled and maybe some new awnings and a place that the public wants to come and spend time. Right now, we're looking at what are all the funding opportunities in parallel with another team that's looking at business support and economic development that is looking at what are the specific activities that we would undertake and want to fund. Anyways, just wanted to give you a quick update. From a funding standpoint, the city applied for and received a $25,000 Massachusetts Downtown Initiative grant, which is really to bring in a state supplied consultant to help us figure out the best plan possible for our community. So that's one of the things we've done so far. They've also redirected some ARPA funds and we've applied, or the city has applied for a casino mitigation grant, both for $75,000 to put into a marketing effort really to bring people downtown during construction. While it'll be awkward, while some things are going on, the goal is to get as many people in stores, in restaurants, and downtown as possible. And of course, the chamber is we're talking to the chamber about how we can better leverage the RTC funds to really make Northampton destination during construction and beyond. I'll talk about a second team. So I chair the business support team. And so the first thing we're going to do is, I mean, fortunately, the DNA has been convening downtown business owners for the last year as part of the Downtown Business Owners Forum. And we're going to be engaging them both in a survey, 400 businesses downtown, with second floor as well as storefront, and forum, as Andrea mentioned. I think we're starting off by just figuring out what are we doing already that nobody knows about, because there's a lot of resources in this community to support the businesses. So Valley CDC, for example, does one-on-one business coaching at no charge. They just introduced a bookkeeping service to help people get their books straight and do financial planning, and that's the intent to get everything working and then to step back. They're working on a small loan program that will be for higher risk businesses. Not everybody can go to a bank and get the loan that they need. And they're also looking at low interest, low barrier loans, something that the Berkshires did at one point in time. The DNA has the Business Owners Forum. We're focusing on downtown events, social media promotion, and I'm going to touch on marketing as I get into sort of all the new things that we're looking at. And then, of course, the city of Northampton is brought in the consultant, has looking at grant opportunities that are only available to municipalities. We'll help write, but ultimately the city has to apply. As well as the vacant storefront program that was introduced about 2 years ago, which has changed a little bit, that allows storefronts to be vacant less time and still take advantage of that program. And then we're also, Jody Dole from Thorns is on the team, and we're working with her because Thorns is sort of the one organization in town that works with all of the stores in joint marketing, co-promotion programs, social media. Anyway, so the other things that our team has done is, and just to give you the kind of scope, and I won't go into all the activities, but we've identified sort of big categories of work. One is around improving wayfinding and visitor experience, whether that's signage to access parking, whether that's ambassadors downtown, whether that's just making sure that, things aren't too dusty. The second one is working, and this is mostly another team called Construction Mitigation, but working with the construction crews, figuring out everything from where do the machines get parked to how do we maintain a relatively pleasant and accessible downtown during the project. Big focus on activating downtown and drawing foot traffic, both local and regional. I'm the president of the Parlor Collective, so we've recently opened the Iron Horse, and we're looking at what are all the things that all of the organizations in town, whether it's the Parlor Collective, whether it's the DNA, whether it's Paradise City Arts. How do we bring things together? Smith Alumni Weekends, so that we bring more people downtown during all of these events. And then marketing and social media. As I mentioned, Thorns does a lot of really good co-marketing, and there's an opportunity for us to do co-marketing across all of the stores downtown. And then the last thing that we're working on that is sort of longer term is the goal is to emerge as strong as possible from this. Help the businesses survive, but at the same time, come out of it in a great position. So later in the process, we have the thoughts of working on everything from facade improvement grants from the state, things like doing a tenant mix assessment, putting together some recruiting materials to see what we can do to draw more businesses and the right businesses to downtown. Anyway, so it's a pretty broad scope at this point in time. We're working with the consultant to narrow and focus on things that matter most to our businesses.
So just to bounce off of what Randy was saying, we want to emphasize as well that the participants and the folks who are working on all of these programs now are focused on what things can happen now and what can be done now, not just thinking about construction. So because, coming out of the pandemic, downtown is definitely weaker. And so the idea is to start now. And that's what the work has been done. And with the consultant helping us to develop those programs, we'll continue to do that. So a part of the POP campaign also includes evaluating and bringing getting information together about the construction phasing. There's not a pause in the project at all. It is more about timing and nuance of when the advertisement date would be for MassDOT. And so, part of prepping to submit final plans includes going, down to the very last details about the phasing and how that, the best way to do that, about the details of the underground infrastructure, as well as the structures that project from the buildings that are subsurface. We want to make sure we get that right. So those are referred to as underground vaults. There are about 17 of them on Main Street. So we're working with property owners, making sure that those are going to be there's a plan in place to secure those ahead of construction and during construction so that there's no, damage. So part of the construction phasing that we're working on is the timeline has been updated on the city's website, but to bring some more specificity to the fact that breaking down this construction timeline is really about sort of phasing. So the first phase is about water line and sewer line reconstruction. So that's going to be that first 9 months or so of work is going to be, probably comparable to what Eversource has been doing over the last several months, is replacing gas lines. So there'll be trenching in the street, but no curb line changes or sidewalk changes in that sort of first phase. And then the next sort of phase and subphase would be to start on the eastern end of Main Street on the north side, then work on the south side, and then move to the western end of Main Street. So not all sections of Main Street would be, under construction all at once. And so part of the other piece of that is working to develop and ensure that we have an active participant from MassDOT's perspective who will be that community liaison and spokesperson between the engineer and the POP team and the city during construction. So that's the other subgroup of POP is focused on those details. And then I think, does that cover all the groups, Randy?
So community engagement, but I don't know if Bob's.
Oh, he is.
Touching that.
Okay, great. So is he online? Okay. Great.
Hi, Bob. Would you like to speak?
I would like to speak. Can you hear me?
Yeah, you can undo your video if you want.
Wherever that is. Well, I'm looking, but I can't see it. Oh, here it is. Ta-da. Well, thank you. Thank you for allowing me to join you. So I live on 246.
He didn't say his name.
Go ahead.
I'm on 246 Cardinal Way. I've lived there for, the last 20 years. And I've been involved in Northampton. I made a commitment to move up here, move our business up here. Fazzi Associates had been up here for almost 20 years. We ended up for 10 of those 20 years being the first business on Village Hill. I mean, I love Northampton, and I love what it represents beyond our community, that other places looked at Northampton. Just as a side thing, my wife was from Hawaii. We're out here now, and we went to a music piece 2 nights ago, and the main singer happened to be at the Iron Horse about 2 weeks earlier, and he's on stage talking about Northampton. What a community that is. And And you hear that. I mean, the joke often you hear is, someone says, I'm from Northampton. You just have to ask one question, and, that question is, what are the two things they say about Northampton? It's either like New York City or sort of a hippie kind of place. People have opinions on it. What I'd like to say is that I've also been involved with downtown. I've been involved in a number of committees, Jazz Fest being one of them, the DNA another one, Pop being another one, because we really want something good to be involved here. I also went to those Zoom meetings that we had, I think, in 2019, 20, and 21, which were meeting after meeting after meeting. I appreciate the comment about measuring twice, cut once. An issue would come up, like, for example, the trees or the sidewalks or the speed of cars. And we thought we covered it. And then the next week it came up again. So we measured twice. And the next week it came up again. So we measured a third time. I think there was a strong effort by the community and the leadership of the city to really keep this as an open process. Our committee is really about involving the community and educating the community in terms of what's going on. And we have a strong group. And one of the things we're doing is reaching out. So the Northampton Youth Commission, the Bike and Pedal people, the Transportation and Park Commission, the DNA, the Chamber, all these groups are groups that we're reaching out to try to get involved. And I really would encourage people who have concerns or have ideas to join one of those committees. We're really receptive to that. And our goal is to continually invite people to be part of that, so that we do get that input, but we also begin supporting some of the changes that are taking place. We're also reaching out to Smith, UMass Center for Resilient. There's a speaker that has expertise in there we're reaching out to. But what I feel good about is, somebody says something, we say, join us. Let's take a look at that. I love the comment by one of the first speakers about walking into downtown from, I don't know if she was in Ward 3 or a different ward. Let's look at what some of those issues are, as part of it. But some of these things I think we're really sort of needing to respond to. The infrastructure under the streets is over 100 years old in some places. And so every year there's some kind of breakdown with water flowing all over the place, the street cut down. We're looking at not only addressing it, but informing the community of what's going on. And maybe just for the last thing that we're trying to do is we're looking for multiple ways and multiple approaches to keep the community aware week to week of different things that are taking place in downtown so they can see it happen. And it's going to be section by section. So it's not like the whole downtown is going to be affected. And I love the view of the future. Those stores will be filled. The good thing, bad thing is you're going to see a lot of people upping their rent because of the value of coming to downtown Northampton. And you're going to see people from outside the community having this as a destination city, more than just when you have a major event like the Jazz Festival or Paradise City. It's a place they're going to want to go because there's music playing everywhere. The arts are fantastic. The restaurants are, outstanding. And we have funky stores. And it's a great place to walk with the bike trails and everything else. I think we're putting the centerpiece of this together. I've appreciated the work that so many people have done on this. And I believe that we would like to get other folks to join us from all the wards, because I think it will affect all the wards. So I appreciate it. Thank you, folks, for letting me speak from here and know that I appreciate the work you're doing.
Thank you. Thanks a lot. And I want to thank everybody for coming down here tonight and talking about the project and giving us all this great information. Is there anybody from council that would like to speak? Is there anybody else, or since Quaverly spoke, or?
She didn't speak about this.
Yeah. Okay, Councilor Rothenberg.
Thanks. Yeah, I wanted to follow Bob. I'm going to address my comment to Bob because I know him and I love him and I respect him. So it's a pleasure to address my comment to you. And I love your openness here. And I would love to follow up with you and suggest people who I think have been doing very good work, really solidifying what are the core concerns that the community has. There are people much more knowledgeable than me, much more eloquent than me. And I know they have been working very hard to get a seat at the table. And I don't see them really getting that seat. So maybe you will be a place, maybe your table will be a place where they can go. But I also want us to remember the centerpiece of this community, right, is more than just the downtown, right? It is the people who live here. That's what the community is in a legal sense and in just in a community-based sense. And right now, we are looking at a city that is not meeting our basic needs, right? We are not funding our schools. We do not have safe sidewalks. Our businesses are closing. They are not supported. Our venues are shut. There are so many things we could and should be doing that I would suggest are a much higher priority, particularly in financially uncertain times. And I again ask everyone, who is asking for this project, with most respect to everyone who is bringing all their professional expertise to bear and doing a wonderful job with those things. But who is asking for this project? It's not my constituents, and that really greatly concerns me.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Am I
Tom.
able to respond to this?
Sure. Yeah,
Just
sure.
a very quick response. A vibrant downtown, an inclusive downtown, which is two of our very explicit goals, is also a financially successful downtown. And that downtown has jobs that are being created, and will more and more of them will be created. Your constituents, as well as those throughout the city, are going to have some additional options in terms of a place to work that's within their area. And when you have more people coming downtown, what do you end up getting? You end up getting increase in your tax base. And when that tax increase comes up and you start seeing more money in our coffers, then it's up to the city council to step forward saying, look at this money we have. Let's put this money into schools. And I think you'd find a lot of the people who are supporting downtown and the whole revitalization and the expansion of what we have, also realizing that when we get more money, we have more money to support our schools. You know, I had a child in the school, and there were good things and bad things. And I think that we've got to look at that. So I really respect you and respect your interest in the school thing. I do know that there's a relationship between what the schools have and how much money we have. And what we've got to do is increase that tax base. And one of the things you can just look at to see if I'm correct, look at the major events we've had downtown, like the Porch Festival. Look what happens there. People go to the festival, and then they end up going over to restaurants. The restaurants end up selling more products, and then we get more tax base. That's part of what we're looking for. And I think this is a fantastic opportunity because it's the place everyone's going to want to go to. And that's the thing that's most exciting about it. But anyway, yes, I would love to talk to you, when I get back.
Yes, and let's talk about other kinds of economic development and how to get those venues open. I think we're on the same page, but I don't think we agree that this project is the way to get to the same destination we're both talking about. Thank you.
Okay, thank you both. Councillor Perry.
Yeah, I just want to thank everybody for being a part of this project. I've actually worked with some of you on other things that kind of led up to this. And I do want to make it clear to the public and anyone in the room is that the city and these organizations have been working hard for years to look at our economy, ways to increase the tax base. I've said this on record, and everyone knows that I believe that our city is one that is functioning only part of the time. We shut down pretty much after 9 o'clock. I miss the days when I would be able to walk around, see things. This used to be a place where our service industry could get out of work and still have a good time. That doesn't exist now. And I'm excited that there are people who are working on these things. And so, I will not say I speak for a whole ward. I never will say that. I can't speak for a monolith of people, but I know that there are people who are asking for this project. I am excited because I've spent all of my life downtown, walking the streets and working hard. But my question to you guys is about, I'm looking here at your walking card and some ways to inform people. I think education is key in this. And so if you guys wanted to talk about some of the things that you're doing in terms of just alerting people about what you're working on.
Bob, do you want to talk to that or you want me to jump in? And Andrea could jump in as well.
You please jump in.
Okay. It's part of what we're doing. So, and just to kind of go back, so over the last really 3 or 4 months, we've done a lot of work trying to understand what have other communities done across the U.S. We've looked at probably 15 or 20 different communities that have gone through this kind of project. We've gone to a couple workshops, online workshops, to travel to understand what's been done. And so right now we're putting together plans. And so I think part of the communication outreach, big focus right now on downtown business owners because they're going to be disproportionately impacted by activities. As Andrea mentioned, Downtown Business Forum, the city and others have been engaging them on an ongoing basis over the past few months about what needs to be done, what are the concerns, how to communicate, everything from, communicating that we're going to pour your sidewalks so you're not going to be able to access the front door for a day, to we're going to have to shut off water in this section. And so that is underway now. The other piece of it, and this is where we're working with Emily, is broader community engagement. We're having a business forum within the next couple of weeks to get all of the concerns out there. And we're just starting now to plan, okay, how do we begin to engage the community on an ongoing basis to understand? And again, I think that the tricky part is we're not Picture Main Street. We're not trying to figure out, is this a good project or a bad project? Our job is to figure out how do we get through the project most successful way possible. And so we're looking at working with Emily, our MDI consultant, as to what are the most effective forums where we can really talk about the issues related to the experience of this project rather than individuals' perspectives on whether the project is a good one or a bad one. So you'll start seeing information come out in the mayor's newsletter. There is a pop news line set up, text messaging, details will come out. The other thing that will come out, and Emily's work will be done in May, when we'll start rolling out much broader communications. I think part of the biggest thing is to help people understand not just what work is going to be done when, but what will it mean for the community. We'll also be engaging the community very heavily at certain times to say, just like we did Eat Out, Dine Out, or Take Out 413. We're looking at programs about educating the community. How can you best support our businesses? How can you be there when they need you? There'll be certain periods where it'll be less attractive to walk around certain places in downtown. Anyway, so we've got a lot. I'd say it's still pieces of what we need to have, but that's a key component of what we're working with our MDI consultant on.
Is there a text app that people can get messages?
Yeah, so there's if you go to the front page of the city's website, there's a place to sign up for text messages. And so we're developing that database now. So anyone who puts their number in will automatically get those updates. And that will, continue through. There won't be as many now, but once construction gets underway, that will be sort of regular updates. Like this week, we're going to be working on, just short, quick messages saying, what the project entails for the week and what to look out for. Maybe there'll be an event that week, like paint the sidewalks before they get torn up or something like that, So we'll be using that for various services.
Thank you. Councilor Dubs, do you have any comments, questions?
Sure, yeah. Thank you. At first I just want to say thank you to everybody for your presentation and sorry, what's that? I thought I heard somebody.
That was me messing around with my computer.
Oh, sorry. So yeah, I just kind of had a question about accessibility. I've heard a lot of people mention today that this is going to be good for people on foot and also for people that ride bikes. I haven't heard anybody mention what life will be like for people in wheelchairs or people with mobility issues, people with walkers, strollers. What is life gonna be like on Main Street for people with mobility limitations? There will be businesses that as a wheelchair user, I won't be able to go to, for certain periods of time. I imagine that accessible parking is going to be difficult in some areas. Um, I imagine that even when there's road work being done or bike lane work being done, it's going to be hard for people in wheelchairs to cross the street or, when the sidewalks are being built, we're going to have to use the street. People in wheelchairs are going to have to go in the street to be able to get around. So I'm just curious, like, what people are thinking about accessibility for people with disabilities. Thanks.
Director Mish?
So during construction is, I think where your question was focused, there's absolutely a plan to address all users in the network. The sidewalks, have to be available for everyone. And so there'll be, even in the sections where sidewalks are being rebuilt, there will be detours. So the idea first is to build, to alter the curb line without touching the sidewalk first. So you're pulling that out and then building the separated bike lane. Then when the sidewalks are being constructed, the separated bike lane will effectively work as the detour sidewalk and route people down ramps, back up ramps to the part of the sidewalk that's not being under construction, or to the part of the sidewalk that is completed and brand new. And so all of those little details are what's being fine-tuned now.
Thank you.
Okay, I have a couple of just comments. So this will be questions. So this is going to be done in sections, right? You're going to do one side and then you're not going to just rip up all of Main Street at one time and go for it. So it'll be done in a very organized, thoughtful way and little pieces. So
yeah, so that's correct. So the idea is sort of almost in, I guess, quadrants, because it'll be east side on the north first, then the south, then move to the west, north, and then south. And then, and by the time the last segment is done, then just coming back and doing the final plantings and landscaping and final surface coat on the street.
thank you. And you said something, Randy, you said something about shutting off the water. Right now, every time one of the water mains breaks, the water is automatically shut off for an indefinite period of time. So with the project, it'll be done in a planned way so businesses will know that they won't have water on this day or a couple days, so they can adapt their schedule and plan for that. So I mean, that seems like a huge benefit because there's been like probably 5 burst pipes this winter so far. That's really inconvenienced people.
Yeah, so the idea is, again, in segments. So a section would be replaced and then a new connection would be made from the old line to the new line. And so we would know that day when that's going to happen, or a few days ahead, so people can plan. And then moving on to the next section, a new line would be laid, then connect the old line to the new line, same thing, all the way down.
Thank you. And just about POP, it just seems like with this project and POP and that Northampton is doing more than a lot of cities do when there's construction. I've lived in a few different cities and you see this construction and you just have to deal with it. I just really want to thank everybody for all the time and thought they're putting into helping these businesses through this difficult time. And I think we will come out a lot stronger afterwards. And I'm really excited about the project. And just, could somebody just differentiate what POP is versus Picture Main Street? Because there seems to be a lot of overlap here.
So Picture Main Street is the construction project, the design, the actual execution of the construction. POP is focused purely on the experience that visitors have, that the businesses have during construction and coming out of construction. So it really is around sort of business support, community engagement, supporting the businesses and not the actual construction project itself.
Okay, thank you. Yeah. Any other comments from counselors, or can we go to the public? Yeah, good. Does any of the other counselors that aren't part of community resources want to say anything, or going once? Okay, so can move on. Okay, go ahead.
Hi, Jim Winston. So I got two questions. So the first question with POP. So my understanding is, I mean, eventually there's going to be a loss of a third of the parking spots, but I'm talking about the specific 18 spots between Michelson Gallery and CVS, 24 businesses on that side. And then across from Urban Outfitters, from the First Church Urban Outfitters, another 9 spots. That my understanding is during this and even after this, the trucks that unload in the middle of Main Street are going to be used as loading zones there. Has there been any talks with those businesses about during the day, Monday through Friday, during the work week, if there's trucks unloading in front of their businesses, what are they going to do for customers? Parking?
I think you've raised the numbers before, 18 spaces. I don't think that's the right number that's being modified, but there will be specified loading zones. And so actually the loading zone locations and times have to be authorized through city council as a change in the use of the street. So there'll be loading zone times established, and then when they're not loading zone times, they flex to parking spaces, parallel parking spaces. And so now trucks pull up in front of businesses and unload. Sometimes it's in the center of Main Street. Sometimes the smaller box trucks are along the curb. So it's, that's sort of very comparable to the existing conditions.
Is the flex time going to be a Monday through Friday? Now, do you know the hours of the days for that?
Again, it's a city council adoption. There's regulations that the council has to adopt.
And the other question about the pipes, and the first my understanding, let me ask you, is if the whole Main Street redesign wasn't being done in terms of the piping, would it all have to be replaced? And the other part is, are the piping size, is it the right size to capture the water? Because I've heard.
Yeah, so we've talked about this, and Director Lascalia's talked about it. I think you're talking about the sewage pipes, and that's been dictated by the state. The size of the pipes, I think it's 9 inches. So it's stormwater drainage. So they know by how much stormwater we have the correct size. So they're giving us the size we need based on the stormwater drainage we have. And yes, we would have to pay for it. So we're paying for the infrastructure, which Mayor Shara has put aside $3.5 million. And that's why some of these the free cash funds are higher now, because that money has been saved in them. And then we would have to not only pay for the infrastructure, we would have to pay to dig up the street and replace the pipes and, fix up the street afterwards. We wouldn't get new sidewalks and, all the new things that we're getting, new bike lanes, and, the street wouldn't be fixed up. And so we'd have to come up with about over $30 million.
The question was whether the pipes whether we would need all that extensive work if the proposed redesign, because I thought I've heard from the DPW director say that if we weren't doing this entire project, the whole thing went.
The pipe is 117 years old, and they're breaking now, so they definitely would need to be replaced. Councilor Perry.
Well, I think it's a good question that you're asking. I think, as we just stated, Picture Main Street is separate from POP, and we are here to discuss POP.
That's true.
So I believe that that question should be better suited for that. Those folks.
And I appreciate it. And the last question then about POP is, has POP considered the viability of what I talked about earlier about a trial run, that there's so much at stake for the businesses, there's so much at stake for the city, there's so much, if there are serious defects, has POP considered the potential to do a trial run, and then things that we know may not be what the city thought could be corrected? So that's my question. Has there been thought in terms of POP working with the city on a trial run?
Do you want me to answer that?
Because it's not really
It's not really POP. That's more of a
That's not-
Picture Main Street
yeah.
question.
It's about construction mitigation.
Answered many times, so.
Sorry.
Okay, Meg Robbins on Zoom.
So I think what we're hearing, counselors, is a need to have a wider forum. That I hear what the POP people are doing, and it sounds admirable, but whether the goal is something that the rest of the residents in the city understand and really want to get behind this particular design, this particular picture, still seems to be in abeyance. And there doesn't seem to be a place for residents to be able to gather together and give you guys feedback. We've heard a lot about what education we need around it, but it also feels like perhaps there's education counselors might need as well about what the people who you represent in the city are concerned about in this project. And I speak as a over 50-year resident in the city and totally understand, and I'm behind being able to replace aged pipes, being able to make our streets safer for all kinds of mobility challenges, being able to make it a safe place to be able to drive and park and do everything else we need to do. But the idea that there were conversations that happened in 2019, many of which I attended as well, but they were one-way conversations. There has not really been an open forum where counselors did a listening session about concerns on the part of residents. And maybe that's ward by ward, maybe it's a whole gathering. It might be a very interesting learning experience for you as our representatives, but it also might be an interesting experience for the people working in POP as well. Many people who live here in the city don't go downtown. They're not interested in it as a destination. They can't afford to go to the Iron Horse. They can't afford to eat in the restaurants. There's no grocery store downtown they can shop at.
Yeah, Meg, can we just keep this to the topic now? If you have questions about POP and you have people that are here to present, so.
Thank you, Debbie. I am speaking about POP. I'm speaking about concerns about downtown. I believe that's relevant. Yeah.
Do you have questions for anybody that's here? Because
that was my question is, I think it would be a good idea to have a city forum or several forums to talk to residents about the plans that are in place in front of us, and for you to get feedback about the concerns that residents might have about work that you're doing.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
I don't think there's any more questions from anybody. Oh, Ben?
Just make sure I don't go over. So Benjamin Spencer, Northampton, Massachusetts. I'm going to speak directly to the Part in Our Progress reason why we're here. It's very exciting that this group exists. I've had an opportunity to get to know some of the people on the Part in Our Progress group. I think they're all excellent. We all want to see the city of Northampton succeed in every way possible. We're at this point in time because there's been a thoughtful, inclusive process this whole way. And there's been experts involved this whole time. If you want to see the results of this sort of project, go on Tool Design's website. They've worked on hundreds of projects across the country that have made communities better. You can just go and look. It's an amazing website. We're not making this up. Like, this is what's happening. This is a chance for Northampton to be a leader in Western Massachusetts for what like the future of downtowns can look like, what inclusivity can look like, what accessibility can look like. I have to say that having paid attention to this project for a number of years now, and I say this with as much respect as possible, I appreciate that people have concerns. Concerns have been addressed. I appreciate that change is hard. Change happens when you're trying to move to the future. I think it's important to note that the city of Northampton didn't spring fully formed in its current state right now. All of this was a construction zone, and we're all still here loving this city. So I think that's all important to keep in mind. I would say, I think this week alone, I've seen notices of about 3 businesses opening in the city of Northampton in downtown. And that level of commitment and belief in the future of the city of Northampton is real. And to answer Councillor Rothenberg's question, who wants this? I would say the hundreds of people who participated in this process when it was time to, and the many more citizens of Northampton. Partner on Progress, we're trying to bring people together. It's time to come together and work together, see this project through so everyone can succeed. Thank you.
Thank you, Ben. Okay, seeing no more questions, I want to just thank you again for spending your time here this evening and just letting us know what's going on and keeping us informed. And hopefully you'll come back when things get moving here. And
Text you.
yes. Please do. I have these two if anybody wants any more information. So seeing nothing else, I guess we can have a motion to adjourn.
I would move to adjourn. Oh, sorry. That was my bad.
Anybody second it?
Click the wrong.
Sure, I'll second that.
Okay, Council Dobbs.
Hit the wrong audio button.
Yeah.
Good to see you.
Roll call.
Yes.
Oh, sorry, I couldn't hear you.
Councillor Dobbs, I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah, yes, yeah, thank you.
Okay, Councillor Rothenberg.
Yes.
And Councillor Clemmer.
Yes. Meeting's adjourned.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, Zoomers.
As good as possible. You made it. We're gonna be working a lot together. Oh, you're welcome. Yep. I sat through all those public meetings early on too. It's like, very, but something like this.